I have a friend who was a self-proclaimed homophobic person. He was proud of it. I just thought this was crazy. How could someone be so proud of hating a certain group of people for merely being themselves? He was still my friend though. I had to try and help him. One night, while we were playing video games, I heard him singing Rocketman by Elton John. This was a few months after the Rocketman movie was released, so he was kind of obsessed with it. I asked him, "Do you like Elton John?" "Yeah, of course," he replied. I asked further, "You're also a big fan of Freddie Mercury, right?" And he said, "Yeah, of course. Who isn't?" I then replied, "You know they're openly gay, right?" He stumbled over his words a bit and told me, "Yeah, but they're a different kind of gay." Wow, what an answer. A different kind of gay person. Elton John and Freddie Mercury could escape this discrimination while millions and millions of people who just want a world that's more accepting of them can't? That's exactly how it is. People exempt others from discrimination only when it's convenient for them. Otherwise, there is no reason not to discriminate. It's intrinsic for a lot of people. It goes to show that discrimination is not always consistent, and it's rarely about reason or rationality. You need to excel to even have a chance of escaping it. And the second you're no longer entertaining, agreeable, or exceptional, like Freddie Mercury and Elton John, people are more than willing to fall back into their biases. Before I continue, I want to make it very clear from the get-go that the message here is not to hate talented and successful figures because of something they are. The message here is to acknowledge that maybe deep down, it's not something about them that leads to discrimination, but it's something deep in us, our learned prejudice, our selective empathy, and our failure to apply humanity equally. I guess this is also a good time to tell you to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Discrimination in all its forms comes from a place of protection and pride. We are born in certain communities with distinct traits. We take pride in these traits and are inclined to protect them. It's fine to notice that a certain group is different, but discrimination comes from attaching negative emotions towards traits of other groups. This is where stereotypes start to form. Those in power, wanting to protect their beliefs and traits, make a system that puts other groups down. Thankfully, it's kind of getting better today, but not so long ago, things like women not being able to vote and gay marriage not being legal in any country, it just proves how members of marginalized communities and groups have to conquer a never-ending uphill fight. This exception that I was talking about a while ago, it then happens because many people, they don't actually reject entire groups. They reject what they want to associate with those groups and what's most convenient to them to hate. When someone from a marginalized group provides value that aligns with the dominant culture's tastes, they're rebranded as acceptable or the exception. People want to enjoy the product while detaching their roots. It's not just successful people either. A marginalized member can put down their own members and benefit from the system by doing so. When you polarize members of a marginalized group like that, it just creates scapegoats. People with genuinely discriminatory beliefs can mask their bigotry by expressing support for successful members. But what about expressing support for the entire community? What about supporting the actual majority who barely get any media coverage and legal reforms? It becomes a tool for deflection, not reflection. This allows people to feel morally safe without actually confronting their biases or contributing to real change. It's all about convenience. It's easy for them to support a member of a marginalized group when they're stable enough to live a normal life. But at the same time, it's easy for them to associate evil with certain traits, such as crime or other stereotypes, because they live in poor social conditions that have been put in there by the system. These social conditions are what drive them to exhibit those negative stereotypes in the first place. It's completely unfair and dehumanizing. That's why you see those performative feminists on TikTok talking about equal rights and gender equality, but only because it's convenient to them and only because it gives them attention, not because they actually support feminism. Because of all this, systemic injustice and inequality is further perpetuated. less people hear the majority who are actually suffering. Not only that, but you incentivize those successful members of marginalized communities to completely ignore the roots, which is just really inefficient because those kinds of opportunities are what give them a chance to get better lobbying power for legal reforms. Of course, this isn't the only reason why discrimination is still so present to this day, but it's still an important factor worth addressing. So what does this all mean? It means that discrimination isn't always loud or obvious. It's often conditional, selective, and hidden behind admiration or politeness. It's not enough to celebrate the few who make it out, while ignoring the millions who are still fighting to be seen and treated fairly. Real change doesn't happen when we only support the exceptions, when we only want to support those who are convenient to support. It actually happens when we confront the biases that have made the exceptions in the first place. So the next time we find ourselves saying, they're different, maybe it's time to ask, different from what, and why should that matter? Thank you for watching.